Kerr, the Arts and Entertainment Editor for the Conway Daily Sun, and I'm here with some of the board members of White Mountains Pride to talk about the White Mountains Pride Festival and the other events that they have been doing this month. The festival is June 29th, so that would be Saturday, June 29th. So how have the events that you have been doing this year been going so far? Because I know there was a bowling event and a film and hikes and meetups and ice cream and all sorts of stuff.
We've been having a great time so far. I mean, Abby and Sarah have, either been tag teaming or have been at all the events. I know that Abby came out on top bowling the other night, which surprised her to no end, because that was our first time bowling event. And Sarah was very present at the ice cream event at Trails End, and I ate the most ice cream, I think, at the Trails End, because I think I had 3 cones that night.
Oh, that's good.
I don't know. Your son had a large
That's true.
ice cream when he showed up.
He did. He asked for a large, but he didn't realize
How large the large is, yeah.
quite how big those are. And so we've been having a great time. People have been coming out, showing up. We've been having volunteer nights. We've did a Pride trivia night over at Flatbread Company. People have been having a great time. Lots of planning has been underway toward the festival on the 29th, as well as the Drag Story Hour on the 28th. Sarah Stowe was our Drag Story Hour assistant last year and is going to be doing that role again. I don't know if you want to throw anything out about
I'm so excited. I can't wait.
Are you going to be a butterfly again?
No.
She wants to surprise everybody.
All right.
Yes, I do.
Maybe it'll be a dragon this time.
And our storyteller is again going to be Reverend Yolanda, who is also the MC for our festival and is our de facto kind of visible speaker for our events and things of that nature. And she is looking forward to spending time with us.
And then following the event, there's also on Sunday.
So on Saturday, following the event, there's going to be a happy hour at Abenaki Trail, and then there's going to be an after party starting at 6 at Ledge Brewery, and then that's going to lead into a drag, like disco hour or something at the end of the night.
Okay.
So
but then Sunday, Reverend Yolanda's also doing.
Oh, she's going to be leading worship
Yes.
at the Jackson Church. Yes.
So Reverend Yolanda's getting all around for a few days.
Yes.
Yep. So it promises to be a great time.
And so why did each of you want to get involved with White Mountains Pride? We can start and make our way down.
Yeah, so White Mountain Pride, really my initial experience with White Mountains Pride was last year volunteering for the Pride Festival, and it was so much fun. And this year's going to be a really fun time as well. But I really want to help foster inclusivity in the Mount Washington Valley. That's really one of my goals, and White Mountains Pride does an amazing job with events and being welcoming to everyone in the valley.
Definitely, yes. And we appreciated your help so much that we put you right on the board. For me, I have a lot of family members that are in the LGBTQ plus community, and I felt it was important to have a safe community for them to grow up in and to feel a part of something, and also to be visible in the community. And it just became so much a part of me, and being the assistant at Drag Story was huge for me. In fact, we had some protesters there, and they thought that I was the drag storyteller.
Yeah.
And it was really life-changing for me to have, people yelling at me and, experiencing a kind of discrimination that I had never experienced before. and it really upped my passion to, you know, bring, you know, equal rights to all people, you know, because my own child was experiencing that kind of discrimination at school. And I think that everyone should be able to walk down the street and wear whatever they want and feel comfortable in whatever they're wearing and in the body that they feel comfortable in. And that's okay. And nobody needs to be hollering anything to them.
Brava.
Yes, yes. And it's a passion. It's a passion, and I'll keep fighting. And I'll keep dancing, and I'll keep, you know, blowing up balloons and doing crafts. And I am in charge of all the kids stuff at the Pride Festival. And I think that that's really an important thing is starting with, you know, the kids and really, you know, expanding their minds and opening their hearts to something that is the normal now, you know, and be comfortable with who they are and let them express themselves. And, you know, they are gonna grow up knowing that it's okay to be who you are.
And so I think you already know, Alec, but I was one of the co-founders of Pride, or White Mountains Pride, back in 2019 with DJ. And that was born out of my own personal experience. You know, I've been LGBT, or I've been gay, you know, well, all my life, but outwardly gay for, you know, 35 years. I've always wanted to do good in the community or in whatever communities that I've been a part of. And one of the things that I have generally found is being accepting and welcoming is one of the key things to create positive community. And so creating White Mountains Pride that creates, or the opportunity for acceptance, connection, inclusivity within the Valley. And then also as a business owner here in the Valley, because I own the Cranmore Inn, you know, creating the opportunity for those who come to the Valley to understand that we are an open community, an accepting community, and trying to make sure that that is visible to people when they're walking around, so that they can recognize that when Sarah wants to walk down the street, that nobody should say anything about how she's dressed, or about how I'm dressed, or about how Abby's dressed, or about how you're dressed, that we should all just accept and love everybody.
Yep.
Yeah.
Maybe tomorrow I'll just wear my butterfly wings for fun.
There you go.
And that's okay.
And that's okay. So I think that that's my commitment.
Yeah.
You know.
And it's true. There's I believe he's a German man who several years ago went viral. Straight man just loves wearing a dress. He's got great legs, and so every day he wears a dress. Why not?
There's no reason why not. I understand they can be more comfortable, you know.
Yeah.
Especially on a hot day like we've been having lately.
There you go. And you've kind of already spoken to it, but what in general does Pride mean to you?
Positivity, inclusivity, acceptance, joy.
Welcoming, love, equality.
All those things. Yep. And just being a part of something, you know, and knowing that you have this, you know, family that is so accepting and kind.
Yeah.
And I think the other thing that I'll just point out is, in our modern age, you know, I think that a lot of people may be experiencing isolation. You know, even as connected as we are, and those feelings of isolation are only made worse if you identify as gay or trans or something other than what you perceive others to be. And so if we can move to a space where we can welcome and accept people, you know, hopefully it will allow people to feel less isolated, you know, and encourage them to break out of their regular normal patterns and enter into other patterns and connect with others. And so we get a better fabric of society, so to speak,
Yeah.
you know.
And this is an election year, and unfortunately, there has been a lot of sort of anti-gay, anti-trans rhetoric. Have you been encountering any really bad pushback this year? I know in the past there's been a lot of toxicity on social media and toward just emails. Has that been the case this year?
It has not been as difficult as we've experienced in the past. However, I do think that there are still those within the community who don't support gay or trans or otherness, and they will be vocal. And we've seen different bills introduced in different states, even here in New Hampshire, you know, not that they've passed, anti-trans bills, anti-gay bills, and it's super duper important for us to be present and to recognize that when we're called, you know, to bring positivity to the universe as opposed to bringing negativity. I don't call people out for what they do, you know. I will respond to comments that are directed at me, but I usually try to speak in positive terms and accepting terms. And I hope that we will continue that this year.
Right. If somebody comes at you with name calling and bullying, the temptation is to do that back, but that doesn't help.
Right.
You can only really try to just present, like you said, you know, love and positivity, and hopefully maybe something will get through.
Yeah.
Maybe. That's all you can hope for.
And most of the negativity has usually been centered on the drag story hour, as Sarah mentioned. You know, and we do have the drag story hour, which is taking place on June 28th at 10:30 in the morning at the Conway Public Library. We are going to be putting together a positivity, you know, festival, not festival, but a positivity protest. You know, to bring positivity around the kids that are going to be coming to see the drag story hour on that Friday, and promises to be a good time. But anybody who's interested in coming out on that Friday, you should join us. Won't necessarily be able to get in because all adults must be accompanied by a child going to the drag story hour, but we'll have adults outside who are sending positive vibes and positive thoughts to the community.
Yeah, and you and I have talked about this, but to these people that are so like fixated on like, it's about grooming the children or like trying to convert them, and it's literally just somebody telling a story. It's like any other person in a costume telling a story, whether it's like Winnie the Pooh or the Cat in the Hat. It's just somebody in a costume telling a story. It isn't anything more than that.
And I agree with that. And they tell stories of positivity, you know, as well, because it's about the stories that are often read are about difference and how difference is okay and how we should accept difference in those around us. And I don't see a negative connotation to that conversation or that storytelling, but others do, because others would rather raise their children or just see everybody the same.
Well, it's people like to keep the status quo and what they're comfortable with and what they've known their whole lives. And having something other than that presented to them can be scary. And that's fine if you're uncomfortable with that, if you're scared by that. But instead of trying to reject it, maybe try to understand it.
Or join in the fun at our festival on June 29th between 10 and 4, where we'll have food and music and entertainment and Reverend Yolanda and kids activities and lots of other fun stuff.
And it's all family friendly. Like, I know some people try to scandalize any sort of pride event, but it's just about good family fun.
Yes.
That's all it is.
Yeah, I think what really concerns me when people get upset about children learning to be comfortable with their own self,
And their peers.
And their fears
Peers.
is that, you know, they are wanting children not to be comfortable.
Yeah.
And that's concerning, really. You know, do we want children to, you know, keep secrets? And do we want children to feel, you know, shame? And do we want children to, you know, be in the closet? Like, no.
Yeah, and
We don't want that, because that is an invitation to predators. And it seems like we're doing the reverse. We're wanting children to feel comfortable with who they are and come out with, you know, how they're feeling and who they are and be open.
Yeah.
So it really is just the opposite of victimizing children. It is letting children have a open, you know, relationship with, you know, an honesty that they can not be afraid to say, this is how I feel, this is who I am, this is what I want to wear, you know. So it really kind of speaks to, you know, a different side of it, where do you want your child to feel like all closed up, or do you want them to be able to feel comfortable talking to you?
Right. Because if you repress all that stuff, that's what leads to depression, self-harm, anxiety, all these negative things that then get carried on through the rest of your life.
Well, and those are the kids that you see become victimized, because, you know, those are the kids who are, you know, preyed upon because of that. You know what I mean? Like, you see that, oh, they're like, well, this child is having a hard time. You know, and a predator is going to see that. So you don't want your child to be, you know, closed up and like that.
Yeah.
It's dangerous for your child, really.
Yeah. And we had an event earlier this month, which is not kids related, but more adult related, Dragging into Pride, which we had a couple of drag performers who, both locally and from the Boston area, who came up, and just the audience that was there, which was a sold out audience, you know, and everybody came as they were, so to speak. Mm-hmm. They were at whatever point in their self-discovery or discovery of what drag is, because I think we had some, you know, newbies who had never been to a drag show before, and we had others who had been to, you know, tens or hundreds of drag shows before. And what was really wonderful about that space was everybody came together, you know, and everybody, there was no judgment in the room. There was a lot of fun in the room.
Yep.
And you know, that's the type of space I think that for White Mountains Pride, you know, we're spaces where we can come together, have a good time, accept each other, show love for each other, and go out in the universe and kind of propagate that even more.
Right.
Is what we're trying to
And
do.
there's a different space between a children's room in a library and a bar.
Yes. Yeah, I'm not saying the drag story hours are, you know.
Yeah, but there are different levels. There are
Yes.
events that are family friendly, and then there are events that are more adult friendly.
Yes.
And the adult event doesn't relate to the family event. And that's what people
Exactly.
try to do. They try to conflate the two things. It's two
Exactly.
separate things.
You know, other organizations have, you know, adult galas where they have a cocktail hour, and they have, you know, other things that are geared towards adults. They are 21 and over, and that's it.
Yeah.
And then they have, you know, Santa's train ride with, you know, kids events, and it's the same organization putting it on, and nobody says anything about that. You know.
Storyland has nostalgia nights for the adults, and
Right.
alcohol is available. And,
Yes.
but similar to the drag event, I hosted a film screening that was The People's Joker, which was a transgender coming out story through the DC Comics universe. And the same thing. All these people came out as themselves. Some people, one person came as far as Concord to see it, and it was just because they were so hungry to see that sort of representation on the screen. And this was the first place it was screened in New Hampshire. Otherwise, they would have had to go to Boston to see it. And I think people just really want to be able to see themselves reflect it back at themselves. And so events like this help that, so that people don't feel alone and don't feel isolated.
And that was a great event too, you know, the movie screening.
It was.
Yeah.
Although I'm not big on the DC comic universe, but you know,
and it was interesting because I watched that alone, and it was interesting watching it with the audience it was made for, because there were things that people that in the audience that were obviously transgender or obviously queer that they were getting and responding to in a huge way, where I didn't have that experience just watching it by myself. So to see it with the audience it was made for was really powerful.
Yeah. Agreed.
If people want more information, they can
WhiteMountainsPride.com, or they can email whitemountains.pride@gmail.com.
And so, Abenaki, there's going to be happy hours every day of the week leading up to
4 to 7, starting on Monday and all the way through the Pride Festival.
And then on 28th is the Drag Story Hour.
Yep.
29th is the festival. And so
the 30th is the Reverend Yolanda leading the worship at Jackson Community Church. And also, there's actually going to be Intro to Mountain Climbing held that day by one of the mountain climbing schools.
Right.
IME on that Sunday. So if you haven't signed up for that already and you are adventuresome and want to hang off of cliffs, sign up for that. And I also want to shout out to, there's a lot of support within the community for White Mountains Pride. And Abby actually works at one of our sponsors, which is Aditash and Wildcat. But I want to call out all of the sponsors who sponsor White Mountains Pride and all of the vendors who are going to be at Pride, and thank them for showing up for us.
Yeah. What just before we close up, what other entertainment and some of the vendors will be at the festival?
So at the festival, there's I think it's 8 different performers. You know, there's Reverend Yolanda, Lady Vanessa, Chrysalis. I can't remember all the names of it, but if you check out our website, you can see the whole lineup. And then from food vendors, we're going to have Dave's Kettle Corn and Lemonade, and MC Eats, which do smash burger tacos and smash sausage tacos, which should be great. We're going to have a beer tent this year where people can get some beer. Then we have Mila's Lemonade. And then we have a number of nonprofits. You know, there's the spiritual community, Jackson Community Church, the Lutheran Church, the UFIS out of Tamworth, you know, and a couple of other spiritual organizations, as well as Planned Parenthood's going to be there, and other nonprofits. ACLU is a great sponsor and will be there. And then we have from the retail community, TJ Maxx will be there. I think Hannaford's is going to be there. So it's just going to be lots of stuff. And I bet you, I may be wrong, but I bet you there's going to be a lot of free stuff being handed out.
Yeah, last year Hannaford had some really nice T-shirts. I still have mine.
And Sarah is added something new this year for us. We're actually doing raffles of gift bags all day long. And that if you buy tickets, you have to be present to win. But we're going to have items being raffled off. And I heard that she has some great prizes, but I don't think she wants to disclose what they are yet. But
just have to come.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for coming in and talking. And so still plenty of Pride events to look forward to, and the festival on the 29th. So make sure to check all of that out.